Higher densities, think 68 shrimp per square meter or even more, were linked to lower disease probability.
Hold on, that feels wrong. Isn't high density usually seen as inherently risky? More stress, faster disease spread if something goes wrong?
It is risky if the management isn't top-notch. That's the key insight here. This finding really reflects the farms that can handle that density because they've invested heavily in technology, advanced water circulation, biofloc systems, that kind of thing.
So it's not the density itself that's protective. It's the high level of technology and management required to make that density work.
A whole new era of communication in the global aquaculture industry is coming. Now you have the brightest minds in aquaculture right in your pocket. And what's best? You can listen to all of them while driving to a farm, traveling, or running errands. It's never been this good, and it's never been this simple. Welcome to the Aquaculture Podcast Show, the first AI-based podcast in aquaculture, where you'll find cutting-edge insights in everything that's working in aquaculture, nutrition, health, and production.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the weeds on intensive aquaculture, specifically Litopenaeus vannamei shrimp farming.
Yeah, the most farmed shrimp globally. Huge economic driver.
Huge. Billions involved. But there's this constant tension, isn't there? Pushing for higher yields while, climate variability throws curveballs.
It's a massive challenge. Droughts, saltwater intrusion, weird temperature swings. It all just cranks up the pressure and, frankly, the risk of really damaging disease outbreaks.
We're talking the big ones, right? Like white spot, acute hepatopancreatic necrosis disease, things that can wipe out entire ponds.
Exactly. So the mission here really is to cut through the noise and find what the data actually tells us works. We're looking at findings from a pretty comprehensive study.
Right. This wasn't just a few farms. It covered, 267 intensive operations?
That's right. And they modeled the probability of disease against dozens of factors.
Yep.
Really rigorous stuff.
Okay, so how many factors are we talking about?
47 distinct variables. Everything from, daily management practices, biosecurity measures, feeding strategies, even down to how farmers perceived climate risks.
Wow, that is comprehensive.
Yeah.
And the model itself, how predictive was it?
Pretty strong, actually. About 75% accuracy in flagging farms likely to face an outbreak. So the insights are, quite reliable.
Why Genetics turns podcast airtime into brand authority. We don't sell ads, we elevate voices. Curious how far your voice can go to become a reference in the industry and attract more leads? Scan the QR code and discover how we can turn your expertise into unmatched brand authority. Let's transform expertise into influence, starting now.
Let's unpack that. What really stood out as protective? What made a farm resilient?
Well, first off, it really seems to hinge on professionalism and using technology effectively. But let's start with the people involved, technical training.
How much did that move the needle?
A lot, actually. The data showed that getting technical training using extension services, it lowered disease risk by about 34–35%. That's significant.
Yeah, it is.
It really confirms that understanding why you're doing certain biosecurity stacks or how to prep a pond properly makes a huge difference. It's about knowledge and action.
Makes total sense. So sticking with that theme of precise management, feed conversion ratio calculations, that came up as important.
Oh, absolutely critical, especially in these high-density systems. Regularly tracking how much feed produces, a kilo of shrimp that directly reduces the likelihood of disease.
Because of waste, right? Less uneaten feed accumulating.
Exactly. Every bit of wasted feed is just organic load messing with water quality, feeding the wrong kinds of microorganisms. You have to minimize it.
And I suppose adaptive feeding ties right into that, adjusting based on conditions.
Precisely. Farms that tweaked their feeding schedules frequency, especially when temperatures got high or during droughts, they just did better. Fewer outbreaks.
So matching the feed to what the shrimp actually need at that moment.
Yeah, you avoid overloading the system, keep oxygen levels more stable. It's smart management.
Okay, now for the finding that probably raised some eyebrows. Stocking density.
Yes, the counterintuitive one. Higher densities, think 68 shrimp per square meter or even more, were linked to lower disease probability.
Hold on, that feels wrong. Isn't high density usually seen as inherently risky? More stress, faster disease spread if something goes wrong?
It is risky if the management isn't top-notch. That's the key insight here. This finding really reflects the farms that can handle that density because they've invested heavily in technology, advanced water circulation, biofloc systems, that kind of thing.
So it's not the density itself that's protective. It's the high level of technology and management required to make that density work.
You got it. Those systems create a much more stable environment. Better water quality, optimized feed use, healthier microorganism communities. In that context, density becomes a sign of efficiency, backed by tech.
Okay, that reframing makes sense. It's about the whole system. Now let's flip it. What practices were actually increasing the risk?
Time. Two aspects of time, really. First, just how long the shrimp were in the ponds.
Longer grow-out cycles.
Yeah, each extra month increased the odds of disease by over 50%. Just more time for things to go wrong, more stress, more accumulation of waste products.
That seems biologically logical. What was the other time factor?
The farm's age, its operational history. For every additional year a farm had been operating, the disease probability went up by 58%.
Wow. That strongly suggests cumulative impacts, doesn't it? Like degradation of the pond environment over time, stuff building up in the sediment that's hard to fully clean out.
Exactly. Older farms seem to carry a legacy risk, you could say. Then there was a bit of a paradox regarding the farmers themselves.
Oh, what was that?
Higher levels of formal education were, surprisingly, slightly linked to increased risk.
Really? How do you explain that? You'd think more education equals better management.
Well, one hypothesis is that sometimes formal training might focus heavily on, say, maximizing production, maybe pushing the system harder, without necessarily having that deep, hands-on adaptive experience.
It's like the intuitive feel for the pond that comes from years of experience.
Sort of, yeah. That ability to notice subtle changes, to adapt based on feel rather than just the textbook. It's just the ideal is probably a blend formal knowledge plus that deep practical wisdom.
Interesting distinction. Okay, what else increased risk?
Some common management activities, actually, when overdone. Specifically, relying too heavily on chemical treatments.
Intervention becoming a problem.
And also not giving the ponds enough rest between cycles. Both these things can really disrupt the pond's natural balance, especially the beneficial microorganisms. Creates instability, makes the shrimp more vulnerable.
So the big picture here is it's complex. You need this balance between pushing for intensification and maintaining that sort of ecological stability within the pond.
That's the core takeaway, yes. And managing stress is paramount, especially with climate factors like heat.
Right. You mentioned temperature spikes earlier. Was there a specific threshold?
Yeah. The data pointed to 32 degrees Celsius. Above that, things get tricky. Shrimp get stressed, they eat less, they tend to burrow into the sediment.
And that's bad because?
Because down in the sediment, they're exposed to low oxygen conditions, hypoxia, and a buildup of nasty stuff like hydrogen sulfide, nitrites, ammonia. So when it gets that hot, you absolutely need adaptive feeding, maybe less feed, maybe supplements, plus maximum aeration to manage those risks.
Okay, so tying all this together, what does it mean for the industry moving forward?
Well, it really underscores that you can't just invest in fancy production systems like biofloc or recirculation and expect them to work miracles on their own.
You need the training to go with it.
Absolutely. Continuous farmer education on biosecurity, on environmental management. It's got to go hand in hand with the technology. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for problems.
And from a broader perspective, policy implications.
Standardized record keeping is crucial. We need reliable data across the board, feed conversion ratios, feed use details, water quality parameters, consistently.
To build better models, better predictions.
Exactly. That kind of standardized data is the foundation for building effective regional health management strategies, integrating farm data with climate info, water quality trends. That's how you get early warnings and move towards predictive management for whole zones, not just single farms.
So really, this deep dive reinforces that sustainability and productivity aren't trade-offs. They have to go together.
They're absolutely codependent, especially now. Precision management, using data smartly, respecting the environment that's the path forward under climate pressure.
A powerful message. So, final thought to leave our listeners with, where does the research go next?
I think the really exciting frontier is integrating even more data streams. Imagine using machine learning to combine real-time environmental sensor data, maybe even rapid pathogen detection, with all this farm-level operational data we've discussed.
Wow.
Think about it. That could allow for incredibly precise site-specific interventions, moving from reacting to disease outbreaks to actually preventing them proactively based on real-time analytics. That's the future direction for managing health in intensive aquaculture.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the Aquaculture Podcast Show on your favorite platform. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to stay updated on the latest episodes and industry insights. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.